Good morning. Happy Cinco de Mayo. Today's Tuesday, May 5th, and we are doing lesson 34 homework. Okay, so again, this is a review of yesterday, so it's just a little bit more practice to get you feeling more comfortable with subtracting mixed numbers that you need to sometimes change in order to make it possible. So as a reminder from yesterday, you should start to be noticing the fractions that stand out that you're not able to subtract right away. So again, I see a 3/5 and a 3/8 and a 5/8, and I see I cannot subtract those. I can't take 5 from 3. So I know I'm going to be needing to do some renaming. So the first step here, I can subtract my whole numbers. That's easy. So 8 minus 2 is, of course, 6. And then I keep my fractions in the same place. So I have 6 3/8 minus 5/8. Still have that problem with the 3/8 and 5/8. So I know I need to break this one apart. So when I break this apart, I like to take 1 away from my whole number. So if I take 1 away, I have 5. And that 1 I took away, I can rename using a fraction. So I see my fractions are in eighths. So 1 whole with eighths would be 8/8. But I can't just write 8/8 here because I already have a 3/8. So my 8/8 needs to add to that 3/8, which gives me 11/8. Now in blue or turquoise, I like to circle what I have left. So you can rewrite that number sentence if you want. For the sake of space, I'm going to leave it circled in blue. So I have 5 11/8 minus 5/8. So my whole number is 5. 5 minus nothing is, of course, 5. And 11/8 minus 5/8, we're left with 6/8. And then I circle my answer to make it clear. Okay, let's go down to D. So again, you should notice, can't subtract those fractions. So I'm going to need to do a little bit of rearranging here. So I can subtract my whole numbers, 13 minus 8, and I get 5. And then I keep my fractions where they are. So 3/10 minus 7/10. I still have the problem of 3/10 minus 7/10. So I need to rename my 5 3/10. So I take 1 away from my whole when I have 4, and that 1 I took away, I want to rename as a fraction, and I see I'm in tenths. So 1 whole with tenths is 10/10, plus this 3 more gives me 13/10. So now in turquoise here, I like to circle what I have left. So my whole number is 4. 4 minus no other whole number is 4. And I have 13/10 minus 7/10, and I get 6/10. And I circle my answer. And we are already on the bottom. Solve using any strategy. Today, I'm going to stick with the number bond method because that seems to be the most preferred way. But if you prefer the arrow way or you like the number line way, those are perfectly fine to try. So again, I'm going to stick with the number bond way. But if you try it the other ways and want to check your work or talk with a teacher, make sure you tune into your class's Google Hangout and then or Zoom, and then you'll be able to talk with your teacher to make sure you are doing it the right way. Okay, so again, looking at this next one, 3a. Again, the first thing I notice is a 3/12 minus a 9/12. I can't do that. So I'm going to rewrite my number sentence. This one I'm going to write below for the sake of space. So let's subtract our whole numbers. So 7 minus 4 is 3. the fractions we have. Oops. The fractions we have. 3/12 minus 9/12. Still have that problem, can't subtract. So let's break this apart and rename it. So I take 1 away from my 3, and I'm left with 2, and then that 1 I want to rename as a fraction. So I see I'm in 12, so 12/12 would be another name for that 1. But I need to add on that 3 we already have. So 12/12 plus 3/12 is 15/12. So now in this turquoise, I like to circle what I have in my problem. So I'm left with 2 and 15/12 minus 9/12. So 2 minus nothing is 2. 15/12 minus 9/12 is 6/12. And you might, again, have that quick eye where you might notice 6/12 can be rewritten as 2.5. You don't need to do that, of course. 6/12 is perfectly fine. Oops, did I write 6 and a 12th? Sorry, I meant 6 and 1/2. 6/12 is perfectly fine, but you can change it and simplify it if you would like to. Okay, let's scoot over to B. And then the first thing I do with 9 and 6/10 minus 5 and 8/10, I look at my fractions and I see I cannot do that again. So let's start with what we can do. So our whole numbers, 9 minus 5 leaves me with 4. And then I rewrite my fractions. Still have the problem though, I can't subtract 6/10 and 8/10. So let's break apart our 4 and 6/10. So I'm going to take 1 away from the 4 and have 3. And then I have my 10/10, but I add on my 6 and I have 16/10. So I have 3 and 16/10 minus my 8/10. So 3 minus no other whole number, we are left with 3. 16/10 minus 8/10, and we get 8/10. So we have 3 and 8/10. And we are almost there, so we have 2 left. So down here on C, 17 and 2/16 minus 9 and 7/16. I look at my fractions. I cannot subtract those, so I need to do something. But let's start by subtracting our whole numbers. So I have 17 minus 9. I know that's 8. I rewrite my fractions. Still can't do that, so I know I need to break it apart. Take 1 away, I'm left with 7. And then to make that 1 hold, I need to change it into a fraction. I'm with 16ths, so I know 16/16 makes a whole. Plus that 2 more 16ths I already have, and I get 18/16. So now in my blue color here, circling my problem. So now I have 7 and 18/16 minus 7/16. So my whole here, 7 minus nothing is 7. And then 18/16 minus 7/16, that gives us 11/16. And we are on our last one. Okay, 12 and 5/100 minus 8 and 94/100. I definitely cannot subtract 5/100 minus 94/100. So before we can do that, let's look at what we can change. So 12 minus 8 is 4. And keep our fractions that we have. So 4 and 5 100ths minus 94 hundredths. And then let's rename this 4 and 5 hundredths. So we take 1 away from 4 and we get 3. And that 1 I took away, I want to rename as a fraction. My fractions are in hundredths, so I know it needs to be 100 100ths. But then I add on that 5 and I'm left with 105 100ths. And now in turquoise, I can circle here what I have left. So I have 3 and 105 100ths minus 94 100ths. So 3 minus nothing is 3. And then I have 105 minus 94, and I'm left with 11. 3 and 11 hundredths, and I circle my answer. Okay, so that was today's math. Hopefully that helped you. Watch as many times as you need. And then, of course, as always, tune in with your class and your teacher, and we will go over any questions that you might have. So have a great Tuesday, and we'll talk to you later.